know that THSCA is holding the line on everything right now that we are up against, right? Like they are. They are literally holding the line, and I'm extremely thankful that we have them right now, because I know that when something is on that, ballot or ticket to be talked about, I know that they're going to represent us right now.
My next guest is a coach whose passion is instantly noticeable. She has had a groundbreaking career, including being the first female on the THSCA Board of Directors. I will introduce you to Coach Amanda Wolf-Schram right after this.
Hi, listeners. This is Glenn West, the Assistant Executive Director of Texas High School Coaches Association. It's time to register for coaching school. This year's coaching school will be held in San Antonio, July 21st through the 23rd. And in addition to the 250 lecture hours that we offer, we'll be adding a second turf field that will allow soccer, baseball, and softball demos. Tennis, aquatic, and golf will be off-site for one day of exhibits as well. Basketball court will be moved from a half court to a full court. You're all not going to want to miss this. You can find information of coaching school and hotels and membership renewal on our website at thsca.com.
Have you ever thought about doing your own podcast? It is the absolute best way to grow your brand, spread your message, and build your following. Fresh Media Works can help. We do all the heavy lifting, and you just focus on your message. To find out how easy we can make launching your new podcast, call 713-269-4620 or check us out at freshmediaworks.com. All right, everybody join me in welcoming Coach Amanda Wolf-Schram to the show. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Wonderful. And so I guess for a little background, you're in Smithson Valley, and
yes,
tell
sir.
me what you're coaching.
So I am at Smithson Valley. I have been at Smithson Valley for 5 years. I came here the year of COVID, and I am the head softball coach at Smithson Valley High School for softball.
Nice. But this isn't your first coaching gig, right? You've been around a little bit.
I have been so lucky to do this now, 18 years. I remember when I first started out, I was young. I was 22, and it feels like in the matter of seconds now, here I am doing it for 18. And it's literally just flown by. My first coaching job, after graduating college, I was at Bastrop for 1 year. And then I, unexpectedly, out of the blue one day, got a call from one of my mentors and coaches from high school, Coach Sherry Pfister at Elgin. She was the girls coordinator, and said that my former head softball coach at Elgin was leaving Elgin, and they wanted me to come back home. And I was at Elgin for 12 years. That's where I graduated from. So with all of those combined years, I've been doing it now for 18. It feels like a blink of an eye, though.
Well, I tell you, it only goes faster.
Yeah. It feels like it, I feel like as I've gotten older and now I have kids, I feel like the school years just like blow by. And it didn't feel like that at the beginning of my career. So
let's talk about the beginning. What got you into coaching? What made you decide that's what I want to do?
So, I was very blessed growing up to have great coaches in my life. From high school to select, my dad was my first coach. He coached me in Little League and that kind of thing. And then I had great high school coaches who supported me, and the goals that I had in high school to be a D1 athlete. My high school coaches, not just my softball coaches, but all of my coaches at Elgin High School, they were extremely supportive of me. And I got the opportunity to go play college softball at Fresno State University. And what my college coach did for me in my life, I think the combination of my coaches in my high school years and then what my college coach did to me, I wanted to give that to others, right? Because I was very, very fortunate to have great coaches in my life. And I was actually a criminology major. I thought that that was something that I was going to do. I was working in victim service work, and I thought that that was something that I was going to do. And then I said to myself, how else can I help kids? And being a coach, being a teacher, right? That's another way that I can help kids. And so I decided to go into that field and to kind of give back. That's always kind of been my mission, is to give what I received as a student and as an athlete.
Excellent. And I guess early on in your career, what was the THSCA a big part? Because early on with THSCA, it was all about football.
Right. Yes, sir.
But was it a big part of your career from early?
No, I'm going to be honest with you. The only involvement that I had with THSCA prior to being first on the advisory committee was having a membership for Academic All-State. So that was kind of like my first thing of ever having to do with THSCA. And once then, Coach Martin, Coach West, they started their initiatives of everything, and they opened up the advisory committee. That was how then I started attending things and being an active member within THSCA.
Got it. And what was that like, being on the advisory committee? And I guess what was the learning curve there about what THSCA was really about?
Well, from the beginning of when I first met Coach Martin and Coach West, and they brought us all in to meet with the advisory committee, I was fully in belief that they meant exactly what they said they were going to do. Like, I could tell that what they were saying they were going to do, they were going to fully do it, right? And I was very impressed with how much they listened when we when they asked us the questions of what do you need from us, right? And I just was like blown away, and I wanted to immediately insert myself as much as I could in what I saw what they were going to do, because I believed in it from the beginning. I was just like, oh, this is going to be big for female sports, for female coaches. You know what I'm saying? Because I believed. I mean, I could just tell that they meant everything that they said. You know, you talk about like walking the walk. They were like what they said that they were going to do. You could tell that like they were fully invested in it.
And what changes have you seen in them walking the walk?
I mean, I think somebody said the other day, you know, they don't shy away from saying, you know, like we did not serve, right, everybody, but now we're doing something about it, right? And so I think just all of the different ways that they, you know, now are giving more opportunities for people to find a way, because that was immediately when I got in on the advisory committee, right? And then I got on the board. And Coach West and Coach Martin said to me, people are going to ask, how do I do what you do? Right. And I thought, no, they're not. Well, people really did. They were like, how do I do what you have done? And I'm like, you have to be just actively like willing to serve, right? Like you have to be willing to serve. And I think just all of the things like the Rock Mentoring Program, the advisory committee, all of the ability now for coaches to write articles and at coaching school have social gatherings and have a women's panel. There's so many things now, right? It's not just geared towards one thing, and it's so exciting, and I am so passionate about it. I guess you could probably tell how fast I'm like talking now, that I am extremely passionate about everything that THSCA has done, right? And I think that our younger coaches, I think that they're extremely excited about it as well, because they see what this vehicle can do for them in their career and help them within our profession right now. We know that THSCA is holding the line on everything right now that we are up against, right? Like they are literally holding the line, and I'm extremely thankful that we have them right now, because I know that when something is on that, ballot or ticket to be talked about, I know that they're going to represent us right now. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel very fortunate that we have that right now from them.
Definitely. And if you could talk about softball specifically, what changes you've seen recently in the sport? Because like you said, you've been around it now for a while. You've seen it evolve.
Well, I mean, the scary thing now today is everything is about like select sports, right? I think that's a big thing that today in all of sports, but more specifically, right, like your sports that are not geared towards football, right? Select sport is a big thing now, right? And everybody with recruiting, like I saw a post the other day, like select softball is where you get recruited, right? And that probably is a big thing for most kids, right? But like for me in the program that I run, I try as much as I can to help with that recruiting process. I think one of the things that within softball, that playing for your high school softball team, I think that one of the biggest things is that we teach kids right now about balance of being a student and an athlete. Also, playing for something bigger than yourself, right? When you play for your school and your institution, and those kids that want to go and play college softball, I think high school sports is a great opportunity there for them right now to practice that. Like you talk about playing for something bigger than yourself, like that's a big thing that we talk about at Smithson Valley is playing for your school. And so I guess like kids going into, wanting to pursue college softball, that would be a big way. If I'm talking about THSCA, just the opportunity now that they've opened up, their super elite team, that's opened another avenue and getting coaches more, getting a membership now so that they can get those kids on the super elite team, because it is a super elite team. It's like, 13 kids, I believe it is. So you're the best of the best for your classification. And, that's another way right now that we have gotten coaches more involved within THSCA is that, because that's what, at the end of the day, you want your kids, right, to be recognized for academic all-state and for their sport part recognition.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned recruiting. Talk about where the coaches fit in versus select, because straight line recruiting is it kind of says, look, the coach knows more about that kid than the select coach, the high school. So talk about how y'all work together in that.
And, that's a big, a lot of the time when college coaches call me for recruiting, they don't really even ask, necessarily about the sport part. They want to know how are they as a student, right? Like how are they in the classroom? How do they balance being busy with sports and classes and things like that? How are they as community members within their school? You know what I'm saying? And so that, right, like you can tell a recruit, hey, my kid, they do a great job, right? They do a great job of balancing, that they are constantly using their advisory time for study hall. They're a great citizen, class member, those kinds of things, right? So that kind of gives you also that standpoint to help with that recruiting. I'm telling you, that's literally one of the biggest things when college coaches call me is they ask about the classroom. They ask about how are they as members of their community, within their school. Yeah.
Yeah. Now in the other sports, what I've seen in talking with college coaches, they've always said Texas athletes are different, and it's not just football. It's our Texas coaches do a better job of developing them. Do you see that in softball as well as the other sports?
Oh yeah, absolutely. College or high school coaches, we went to a clinic in January in Houston, and developing softball players is something that coaches are passionate about, right? Most people who are head coaches of softball programs in Texas, they have played some form of ball. So they are big on developing that athlete and that kind of thing. And that's also kind of goes into how THSCA now has really helped with those assistants, right? Because sometimes those assistants, maybe they don't have a lot of necessarily a lot of background within that sport, like of softball, but they have something that they can bring to the table. And so that's something that, you know, within THSCA and coaching school and stuff like that, that's been what's great about coaching school now is that, like, I have a couple of coaches for me and my staff who have gone to coaching school for football, but then they've also gone to a couple of our softball lectures because they also work with me. So that's a cool thing, right, about what coaching school now does now, because it allows all of our coaches to be able to better serve educating our coaches and that kind of thing to help with the production of our athletes.
Definitely. And when you look at women's and girls athletics in particular, it is exploding. And then you have the Caitlin Clark effect. Have you seen that effect on as far as athletes coming out for tryouts?
I mean, it had a huge effect in me in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was probably a big thing for me in my own life. If I'm talking personally, right? First, I'll tell you personally, my coaches, I remember like the 96 Olympic softball team. I wanted to be them. And my college coach actually was a coach within the 96 Olympic softball team. And that was kind of what really was my driving force, right? Like the Krista Williams of Dobie High School, right? She was in high school when she played softball. That, I'm just talking like way back when, right? Lisa Fernandez. I mean, Kat Osterman and I are the same age, but everybody wants to be Kat. If I'm talking from a softball standpoint, right? Like, like the other day, I told Kat, I was like, we need to get you to pitch at coaching school. She's like, oh, coach, everybody don't want to see. I was like, not everybody has gotten to see Kat Osterman before. You know what I'm saying? The Caitlin Clark, but she's the goat of softball, right? But you know, women in sports is a huge thing, and that is something that I'm extremely passionate about. Right, is moving our sport and, you know, getting our athletes one day when they professionally can play to where they can live off of, right, being a pro athlete. Because sometimes in softball, that's not very common, right? But if we're talking about women in sports in general, that's something that I am extremely passionate about.
Yeah, and have you seen the growth in terms of college scholarships for softball? I've seen it in other
absolutely.
sports. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You know, when I was in high school, getting a college scholarship was kind of like catching a huge fish in the ocean, right? It wasn't very common. And today now, right, with the growth of all of our sports and those kinds of things and all college programs now having like the sport of softball now, right? Like that availability for an athlete now to go out and get not only maybe an academic scholarship, but a softball, right, or an athletic scholarship is that much more relevant. I mean, back when I was getting recruited, I'm going to tell you how old I am right now. When I was getting recruited in high school, I went and visited 2 SEC schools, right? And they did not have the facilities they had today. And they told me at the time, softball is about to take off within the SEC. And I was like, okay. And sure enough, right, a couple of years later, it just boom. It just takes off, and Alabama was one of the first schools that kind of really had it take off. But, I mean, it's just grown immensely. And that's just with the work of that everybody before us has done. And I think with ESPN, right, having sports now so much more worldwide and people being able to see it, I think that's also helped with that growth.
Yeah, definitely. Let's shift gears. Talk about what it meant to you to be the first female on the THSCA board of directors and the story about how that happened. Well,
I am going to tell you, I was blown away. The day that Coach Martin and Coach West, they asked if they could come and talk to me, right? And I thought, because I was the chair for the softball advisory, I thought we were going to talk about softball speakers. So I had a list of like who I've called and who we need to call and that kind of thing together. And I sit down with them and they start telling me like why the at-large was created for the board of directors, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm still not figuring out anything that they're saying. Like nothing is comprehending to me. And I'm like, okay, that's great, you know? And then they said, we want you to be the first female. And I just like I'm getting emotional now because I hadn't done anything, you know, like I hadn't done anything. I hadn't won a state title. I really hadn't been super active for, you know, a couple years, right? But like if you're talking about what I'd done, I felt like I hadn't really done anything to deserve such an honor. And Coach West and Coach Martin explained to me that being on the board is more about serving. It's a position where you get to serve, and they were like, Amanda, you love to serve other people. Like it's something you love to do. And it is something that I love to do. And they just said, well, what do you think? And I was like, I have to think about this for a moment because, and when I tell people that, people are like, that's bizarre that you did not immediately say yes, right? Because now today, everybody would say yes, right? Everybody would jump at it and say yes. And it wasn't that I was just afraid because I'm going to be honest with you. When I first got on the advisory committee, there was a lot of naysayers out there who told me that I was never going to have a seat at the table. I don't know why you're getting involved in this organization. They're never going to listen. Nothing's ever going to change. And it wasn't from with anybody within the organization, right? And everybody's going to have naysayers in their life, right? And I just knew if I'm on the advisory committee, I just knew, right? And so I was like, I need to talk to my mentors and I need to talk to my husband, right? Like I need to talk to a couple of people. And so they said, Coach Amanda, we totally understand right now. They were like, talk to your husband, talk to, your mentors and we'll have, Rodney Webb give you a call. Okay. So I immediately leave that room and I call my husband and my husband's like, baby, do whatever you want. I'll support you and we'll do this. And he told me he was proud of me. Right. Well, then I called my college coach and, my college coach, she is a big advocate for women in sports. Margie Wright. She's a huge advocate for women in sports. And, she appointed me when I was at Fresno to sit on the softball, or on the committee, Title IX, the NCAA was, Fresno State was found to be infractions of Title IX in the 90s. And so when that occurred, a committee has to serve within that school, right, to ensure that Title IX never occurs. And so Coach Wright appointed me 3 of my 4 years at Fresno to be on that committee. And I knew that she was somebody that I wanted to see what she said. And she was like, Amanda, I've always told you, if you ever want anything done in life, sometimes you got to do things that nobody's ever done, even if it's hard. And I was like, yes, ma'am. And so that was my phone call with her. And then I called I went in to talk to Coach Hill at Smithson Valley. And, he explained to me kind of, what the board was. And he was like, Amanda, this is great. This is going to be great. And then I talked to Coach Garfield, who was my athletic director in Elgin. And he was like, Amanda, this is going to be great. if those two say that they're going to do this, they're really going to do it. And he's talking about Coach Martin and Coach West, right? And so the next day I'm at softball practice, and Coach Webb calls me, and I was like, I would love to do it. And so that was just kind of how that whole thing happened. But I can tell you that the last 3 years have probably been some of the most memorable of my life. It has definitely opened my eyes to now. I mean, I'm at the second leg of my career now, right? I've been doing this 18 years, and I definitely have an understanding of wanting to help others, right? Like I said that earlier, wanting to help others and give not only just to my students, but to other coaches. Like, I was very fortunate to have mentors in my life who helped me early on in my career. Like, I didn't have a rock program. I had my own little rock program when I was in, and I knew that, like, from being on the board now, that serving coaches is what I really want to do, you know, the next half of my career here. It's something that I extremely love, and I'm extremely passionate about it.
Nice. And you mentioned that, you know, it hinged on your ability to do service. If you could talk about what being on the board of directors means in terms of servant leadership, what does it actually allow you to do?
I mean, it allows you to be a voice when you need to speak up, right? I mean, that's a big thing is being a voice when you need to speak up, but also taking people under your wing. Sometimes, you know, like there's about 6 coaches who have been a part of the ROC program that I've formed a relationship with. And a couple of them, like I've previously known, like you had Coach O on a couple of podcasts ago, right? But she is somebody that I've grown to be extremely close with because of THSCA, right? Like, and just wanting to help others as much as I can, because I don't have all the answers, but I know that I've had years of lessons learned. And I don't have all the answers sometimes, but I am a very good listener, and I think I am a very good encourager. And I think that is something that I have really enjoyed doing, and also cheering other people on that they can do this right now, because I think people need a lot of encouragement today. And I would find myself, I feel like I'm a very positive person. And so, you know, I feel like those are things, you know, right now that, as far as serving goes, that I would say that I've been trying to do as best as I can.
I love that. And finally, Coach, what advice would you give to somebody who's considering, hey, I might want to be a coach? What advice would you give them?
Well, I would say to surround yourself with as many people as mentors as you can, because you're going to have to lean on people. This job is very rewarding, but it is hard sometimes. I would be lying if I said it wasn't hard. But it is one of the most rewarding things. And to be a part of students' lives, right, and have that opportunity to help somebody and to teach, and to, you know, see people overcome adversity, and to do things with passion and courage. I think finding mentors, as many mentors as you can, to never be afraid to reach out to people, to tell people when you're struggling. I mean, sometimes people don't want to be vulnerable and say, hey, I'm struggling today. Coach, can you call me? I mean, I had somebody the other day, they were like, hey, Coach, do you think you right now could give me a call? And I was like, absolutely. I'll call you at 6:30 tonight. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that those are things also. I think finding you someone that you work well with, you know, I'm very, very, very blessed that I have had the opportunity to work with my very best friend. She is literally we were put on this earth to be best friends. I can tell you that. Her name is Shanika Randall. And years ago, when my mentor at Elgin, who hired me, right, we coached together for 9 years. And when Coach Pfister decided that she was going to retire, I knew that I needed to hire somebody who was going to help me take Elgin softball to the next level. And I was searching, and I went to an all-star game, and I asked a friend, I was like, do you have anybody, any resumes? She said, I got this girl from Mississippi, and she wants to come to Texas, and she wants to coach. She said, you coach college softball? I said, send it to me. And she sent me her resume, and I told Coach Garfield, I said, I think I found her. And we had one friend in common. And I called that person, and I was like, hey, do you know anything about Shanika Randall? Like, she wants to come to Texas, and I need an assistant. Like, Coach Pfister's retiring. And they're like, Shanika would be, you guys would be perfect for each other, right? Like, y'all would be perfect. And Coach Garfield and I Zoomed, and I was going to have a baby 2 weeks later, and she was like, we were like, we want you. Like, will you, come to Texas, like, come to Elgin. Like, I want you. And she was like, when do you need me? I said, 2 weeks, I'm having a baby. And she was like, oh my gosh. And I'm telling you, we have not, she makes me better. And, she has been with me for 8 years. And I'm telling you, I could not imagine coaching and doing this without her, right? But I think finding somebody that you work well with, but also finding people that are going to help you to grow your program. It's okay for you to say, like, I'm lacking in this, and I know that I need somebody who's going to be able to help me here. I think that that's a big thing. But finding someone that you can work well with and things like that, but also finding mentors. That is a huge, huge thing today. Is to find mentors, to be vulnerable when you need help, because it is hard, and you're not alone in this by yourself. Also, becoming a member of a coaches association so that you can not only for your insurance and for your coaching school, but to help grow you within your profession. I think that that's something also that I would say for somebody new.
Coach Wolf-Schram, gosh, I want to thank you so much for sitting down with me and sharing your inspiring story.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
The interviews in this show are brought to you by the Texas High School Coaches Association. THSCA provides to its more than 26,000 members access to the people, events, tools, and resources to help them thrive in the profession, become trusted leaders in their communities, and live balanced and successful lives. The work and sacrifice coaches do every day is vital to the development and success of student athletes. The THSCA supports these efforts. We fight for every coach, provide them with the connections and resources to improve their lives, and help all student athletes throughout the state enjoy lasting success. The mission statement is simply this: to help and serve Texas high school coaches as they work to help and serve student athletes. Helping coaches help kids. For more information on the THSCA, visit www.thsca.com. Hey, of course, I want to thank our guest, but I also want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me what I consider the most valuable thing you can give, your time and your attention. And I know you don't do it to hear me. You hear it for the great messages provided by the THSCA. And hey, if you'd like to associate your company with the THSCA and the Coach's Call podcast, limited sponsorship opportunities are available. You can reach out to me, Chris Daly, 713-269-4620, or head over to my website, freshmediaworks.com. Once again, thank you so much for supporting Texas high school coaches. Please share this show out to everybody you can so that we can help share these important messages. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time on The Coach's Call.